What are the big events that they
Okay.
teach about Indian history? Like, what do they
So
want you to know most?
I think, as you mentioned about the Indus Valley Civilization, then that's a major part, and then there are also the Nalanda University, and like how it's been for 100 years or more. And then if I come down towards the south of India, there are like a lot of temples, and then like the dynasties associated with those temples. And obviously I think a lot about there are these the caves, the ancient caves, that we have it even till today, like they have been more than 1,000 years. There are ancient caves, then temples, then like the wall art, the mural painting is pretty, like towards Goa, like the beach side. So there's a lot of these sort of that we have grown up studying. And definitely about the British rule, and like how the independence of India. And I think about the ones, like the freedom fighters. So it's a lot of about India, how like after pre-independence and post-independence. So we studied a lot about those. And pretty much the whatever, like the temples and the museums that are throughout the country. So even that.
Um, what do people think of Gandhi there?
Okay. I think he was one of the most famous, like freedom fighters during the independence. So I have a very mixed sort of like opinions that I've heard about him, among people. Like a lot of people, they support him for whatever he did, because he was a man who did not, like support violence. So
Yeah.
obviously, a lot of people do uh, support him. And then there are a lot of people who are not supporting him, but other freedom fighters who actually, they literally took part in the wars, and they brought the independence. So there's a mixed feeling, but I feel he's a very integral part of our country, because we still like have our currency notes with his face, and he's like the most important part of that. So obviously he is an integral part of our system. And I feel like he was pretty, like whatever he did, it was pretty worth saying, commendable, I would say. Like not saying, not sticking with violence and still getting independence for the country. That's a very huge thing to do.
Yeah. So he's highly revered in the country.
I think I missed you. Sorry, I did not get you.
So he's highly revered in India.
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
he is.
What like what other people are highly revered like Gandhi?
So one of the names that right now comes to my mind is Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Should I type down the
Yeah,
name?
yeah, type it in the chat.
Wait, yeah, I'll just do that. So he's pretty famous, and he's a Bengali like me. So he's pretty like looked upon, like by all the people here in Kolkata. Like he's he was actually, I feel, a very a true sort of fighter who was like, I literally do what I have to do, and like do it for the right purpose sort of person. He was pretty daring. Like that's what I've read in history about him, and there have been movies made as well, like on him. So
Really?
he was a very, but then there are like a lot of movies which are pretty, controversial. I haven't seen them yet, but I feel like he was a man of his words.
All right, I'm looking him up right now. He's got very distinct glasses.
Yes, yes, exactly.
uh, okay, yeah. Yeah. Born in 1897, died in 1945. Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to look more into him. Yeah. Is there, give me another name of like an icon from India.
Okay, so there's another Bhagat Singh. I'll type it out again. Wait,
Yeah,
just a
type
sec.
we're gonna type it in the chat.
Again, like we've read him in history, and he was like a freedom fighter. And
So this is like a big, you've used the word freedom fighter a number,
sorry,
you've used the phrase freedom fighter a number of times. So
yes,
is that must be like a very pivotal moment in Indian history, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like when the British, like when they were ruling on India, so they had a lot of restrictions on the people, the Indians,
Yeah.
and that's when I think these freedom fighters, they took it upon themselves. Like we have to, like get our independence, and they literally, did what they had to do. So I think Bhagat Singh, he kind of sacrificed himself for the entire, freedom fight thing. And there are a lot of names. Like I can't remember all of them, but like there are a lot of names.
This guy, yeah. I'm obviously, yeah, of course there are many, many
Yes,
names that you
yes.
could say. This is an interesting looking guy. He's very
Okay.
striking.
Yes, he is. He is. That's true.
Interesting. Huh. Well, you mentioned that your city is kind of known for artistic expression.
Yes.
Um, and it's obviously rubbed off on you. How did you get interested in writing?
So, so I've been writing from a very young age. Like I remember writing during my school days, like when I think there used to be this creative writing competitions we used to have in school,
Uh-huh.
and that's like how I got into it. So initially, I wasn't very good at it. I started like working on my skills, and I used to read a lot. Like I grew up reading Harry Potter, Enid Blyton. Then I think there were more writers like Famous Five and Secret Seven. Then Agatha Christie. So I read a lot, and I started like working on my imagination skills, and that's when I got into like I thought that it was a hobby, but then I realized like no, I can do like become a full time writer and work on it. So that's how just I got into writing.
How did you, from the reading for or from the writing I've seen of you so far, it's all in English?
Yes.
Do they teach, is English taught at a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
young
yeah,
age in
definitely.
India? Is
So
like
like
what are the main languages or writing?
so I studied in a convent school. Like it was an all Christian school, so you can imagine how it was. Like our first language was English. So I
Okay.
grew up writing in English, but then there are other languages as well. Like I think there are a lot of languages. So I personally, I just have a grasp on English and my mother tongue, which is Bengali. So I write in that, but there are a lot of writers here who write in like other the native languages of our country. So yeah, there are there.
How many how many native languages are there in India? There's got to be a
I
lot.
think yeah, definitely. I think more than 36. I have a feeling.
Okay. Is there a pride being, you said Bengali, right?
Yeah.
is there pride being like, is there a regional pride throughout India of like where you're from and stuff?
I feel there is like if you're talking about the Bengali pride, there is like we do feel proud when like we have the most prominent people from our state. Like we have Rabindranath Tagore, who has he won a Nobel Prize. We have Satyajit Ray, like I said, and then Amartya Sen. So we do take pride in our like our creativity and our intelligence, and like how like we are the land of writers and singers and composers. So there's a lot of like I don't know, at least I personally take a lot of pride in being a Bengali.
Are there particular people who've inspired you?
um there are like I loved J.K. Rowling. Like when I was reading Harry Potter, I was in my third grade. So when I started reading her, I was pretty inspired by her. Like being a woman, she was writing books which like probably has been read by everyone throughout the world.
Yeah.
So I was pretty inspired by her, and even Enid Blyton, like that was when I was reading her books, it kind of felt very warm, and she has a writing which kind of makes you feel good. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I've been inspired by a lot of writers actually.
What what do you like writing most?
So I mostly like to write fiction, and it's a lot about looking into human emotions. I would say I try to like I was telling you in the beginning itself, like you are a keen observant. So even I like to observe people and their emotions. Like I try to understand. I try to read people, as in what made them do this. Like what is the
Yeah.
backstory of that person. So I delve into a lot of human emotions, and I write that. Like people can relate to that sort of stories and content. Yeah.
People, for those listening, people give away more information about themselves than they realize. It's not
Exactly.
just like what you say. There's like so many other things that give away.
Exactly, or how they show themselves, and
Yeah.
like maybe the fumbling, maybe their way of looking at others. So I don't know. I mean, like every writer is a very sharp observant. I feel that. Like you would have
Yeah.
probably done that.
Do you people watch sometimes?
Oh, definitely, all the time. Not sometimes, all the time.
Yeah. Where's your favorite place to people watch?
Like so mostly when I'm out with my friends, and like be it in a restaurant or like any shopping mall. So I like to observe people, not just couples, but then I just observe the one who is at a shop selling something. So I like to see their facial expression. I like to see how they're dealing with someone else, and how they're talking, their body language,
Yeah.
everything. Like I don't know. I just have a list of things that I can go on and talk about. Like, there's a lot of things that I keep observing
Is there
that
one
actually
spot
help.
like if someone were visiting your city,
Yeah.
where would be the place you would tell them to go to people watch? Like the best place to people watch?
I think any metro city, where you'll find a lot of good crowd, as in where you can actually utilize the people watching
Yeah.
things. So yeah, it can be my city, Kolkata, or it can be Bangalore or Mumbai. I think Mumbai would be perfect because there's a lot of people there. Like lot of people, and you get to see the varieties, like just just one after another. It's like that. So I think Mumbai would be perfect for people watching.
Mumbai.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. So I'm working on this book called of reading this book called A History of Future Cities.
Right.
So the writer looks at 4 cities: St. Petersburg, uh, Dubai, Mumbai, and
Okay.
what's yeah, what's the other one? Shanghai. Um,
Acha.
so I'm curious to learn more about Mumbai in here. I
I
think it's
think,
like
yeah,
a
like
kind of east
an
meets
understanding.
west and like industrialization, I think.
Yes, yes, definitely. It's like the finance capital of the country. So I think
Oh yeah, you
it,
mentioned that. That's interesting. Yeah, on the back here it says History of Future Cities is a captivating investigation of 4 instant cities, in quotes, St. Petersburg, Shanghai, Mumbai, and Dubai, that sought to catapult themselves into the future by emulating the West. So you could see, like, yeah, Mumbai financially, if you take on a lot of like concepts and principles from the West, maybe, yeah, that's probably why.
yeah.
Yeah, it's all this stuff is interesting.